question here from Noor, and her question is, her son has autism, and she is wondering how to deal with her son. He is 7 years old, and um, he's not that advanced in the autism spectrum. He is at the lower end, but he tends to have issues when he's dealing with other people and at school, specifically at school. What should I teach my son so that he doesn't feel different? Basically, that's what her question is. He doesn't feel different. He's been made to feel different at school because the teacher knows that he is autistic, but he is not in a special class. He's not in a special classroom. He is in the same classroom with other children, but he's being made to feel different.
That's part of our problem today, and that's part of everything we face as parents, and dealing with things like this is society today is so quick to put a label on everything. And you know, from what we were just talking about to Dolores and your in-laws thinking like you were bad parents, there's all these outside influences from everywhere, from pediatricians, from your parents, from your in-laws parents, from the news, from everything. So there's so many things that happen, and putting labels on some of these things is not really what we want to do. But now we're at the point we have a label. So how do we deal with that label at this point in time? And it goes back to the original thing. Your child just wants to feel loved from you. And if you're worried, which it sounds like this parent is worried at this time because their son is obviously having a problem, and us as parents, we feel that, we know that, we definitely, but it's almost time to let that label go as well, and let your child know that they are loved, and let them know that it doesn't matter what other people say. And again, even somebody that has, if you want to call it a disability or something like that, they still have their own guidance, and they still have the ability to reconnect with their own guidance.
That is so true. Just because someone does not appear the way other people appear does not, first of all, make them less than anyone else. And secondly, does not mean that they don't have guidance, because everyone has guidance. And even the one-celled amoeba has guidance. If something is living, it has guidance. And that applies to everything, plant forms, single-celled amoebas. Everyone has guidance because every living thing has their own direct line with source. Now, on the subject of autism, I will say what I've heard Abraham say is that there has been so much emphasis on what is considered normal that if you are outside that range, then you know you get a label. But just because you're outside the range doesn't mean that you are any less than, so your child, what you have to teach your child, that's what the child needs to understand, that just because they are different from other children, and what's different about an autistic child is just that they learn differently. In fact, autistic children, some of our most brilliant scientific minds have come from an autistic background. Autism does not mean that you are less than. Autism just means you learn differently and you see the world differently. So two things: you learn differently, you see the world differently, you process information differently. That's all. You're not willing to give up control. You don't want other people to control you. That's all there is to it. And that's what you have to teach your child. And I sympathize and I know how that feels because my older one is autistic. So And what I have always told her, and because I have always told it to her, it has become true, is that she's brilliant. I have always told her, they don't understand you because you're brilliant. You're miles ahead of them. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. You are brilliant. And so that's what, Noor, that is what I would tell you to give your child more confidence.
Yes.
To give your child more confidence. And I will tell you, here's the thing. I want you to look at it this way. I have shared with a lot of people that when I was younger, my parents used to travel a lot. And so we would go and live in other countries for extended periods of time because my father's work required him to travel. And I didn't know the language. I didn't know the language. Here's what I learned from that experience. Very big learning is that you don't need language to be friends. Children understand the language of smiles and laughter and jumping up and down, and children find a way to communicate. And I can tell you that as a little girl, I made friends with children that I had no idea what language they spoke, but I had a very good time. We played together and we started understanding each other's communication. Autistic children just communicate differently. That does not mean that there are no children in the classroom who will understand this child. It's just a different communication. Brothers and sisters who have siblings who have impaired hearing learn to communicate with that child. Parents learn to communicate with that child. Autism is no different. It's just a child who sees the world differently, communicates differently, perceives differently. That's it. So unless we make the child conscious of their differences, then the child will become conscious. Otherwise, the child will not see those differences. I remember when my son was in kindergarten, not even kindergarten, he was in daycare. He was in daycare. And someone said to him that something to do with skin color. Someone made some kind of a smart remark about skin color. And I remember he was so confused because he looked at me and he said, do people have different color skin? He had never noticed it until somebody made this comment, and then he was like, really? Because children don't notice these differences
They do not.
unless other people point them out to them. Parenting is so different when you look at it through the eyes of law of attraction. It's just very different. And the way Abraham teaches us law of attraction, first of all, the way Abraham teaches us law of attraction is so different from the way law of attraction is being taught by other teachers out there. So Natalie and I have developed what we are calling the intuitive parenting portal. And I'm just going to spend just 1 minute on this. The portal is a place of full of resources for parents who want to bring up confident, happy children based on the law of attraction and more specifically, the teachings of Abraham. So our objective is to create answers to common questions that we are hearing. And each question that we hear becomes like a short video course. You can call it a course or you can call it whatever you want. We call it a course. A short video course that answers specifically that question. So I'm going to let Natalie share what some of the topics are that we've already addressed in the Intuitive Parenting Portal. And you are most welcome to contribute your questions. And every question that comes to us, we will endeavor to create a video to answer it in depth. Natalie, take it away.
So we have several different courses already loaded and ready to go. And the first thing I want to say before I tell you a little bit about the courses is if you're new to law of attraction or if you've been with us forever, they're general courses based on parenting, and they're good for every parent. Doesn't matter how old your child is, how young your child is, could be adult children. It's some of those various things. But to start with, we geared a little bit towards the younger children to start. And like Zara said, as we get more questions from you all, we will expand all of our courses. So there's a couple in there. There's about eating and nutrition for young children. There is a course about co-sleeping with your children. There's a course about what happens if you have a negative partner, spouse, relative, whoever who is trying to parent with you. There is a course about a parent that has different beliefs than you have, whatever it may be. Law of attraction, not law of attraction, anything could fall in that category. And then, of course, our flagship was the 8 Surprising Secrets of Great Parenting, which is our main course and our first course that is in there, which most of you probably have seen the email or gotten the email from us about the workbook that goes with that.
Thank you, Natalie. That was excellent.